Now on the political fallout from the change to the 2020 census, with the Trump administration reinstating a question about citizenship status. Congressional Democrats blasting the move, saying it undermines the accuracy of the census and would discourage some immigrants from actually responding. While California's Attorney General says it is illegal and his state will be suing over it. Joining us now, Alexandra Smith, Executive Director of America Rising PAC and former National Chair of the College Republican National Committee, and David Burstein, Run for America co-founder and progressive commentator. Thank you very much for talking to us. Alexandra, let me start with you first. Should the 2020 U.S. Census include areas where illegal immigrants are widely populated? And should that question be asked?
Sure. I mean, I think it's important, like the Constitution says, to count all of the people so that we have a good understanding of what's going on out there. I think as the president and congressional Republicans tapped into, particularly in the 2016 elections, illegal immigration is a huge problem. It has a real weight on our resources and on what we're able to do as a country. And I think that the census should provide an accurate picture of what that's going to look like. So I think that what the president and Republicans are doing in Congress are just responding to those concerns from the American people.
All right. But a lot of Democrats are going to argue that, first of all, partisan politics is unconstitutional, and the state of California is now suing over it. But with that said, is it not important to know certain areas that do have higher levels of illegal immigrants when it comes to the president's policy? And I'm just quoting the president here. His issue has always been, number one, illegal immigration and immigration reform. So considering the president we have in office, is it that much of a surprise to you that this is happening in 2020?
Well, of course, it's not a surprise, but that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. As Alexandra pointed out, we do need to know how many people are in the country specifically, which is all the more reason why we shouldn't have a question like this on the census, because everybody knows this will actively discourage people, because of this president's policies, from answering that question, because they'll fear they're putting themselves on a government list to be rounded up and deported, because this president has said that is basically his stated goal, which is to do this. So I think the concern is that it actually will lead to a less accurate count, among other things, of who's actually in the country.
How do you do it then? I mean, for planning purposes, you want to have an accurate census that basically accounts for everyone in this country, whether you were an American, whether you were an illegal immigrant. How do you then plan if you can't actually take a fair shake at trying to figure out who is actually in this country?
I mean, I think that it's symptomatic of sort of where we are as a country right now. That one question on the census is sort of throwing everyone into a tizzy. You have California that's suing over it. You have the 2020 presidential contenders on the Democratic side are already responding to it. But in reality, any change to the census has always kind of been met, I think, with some healthy skepticism. There was a real concern, for example, when the Obama administration decided to take it online. There were concerns that it was underfunded. With respect to the online part of the survey, there's now concerns with privacy. I think rightfully so, from what we're seeing out there. So I think that any change made to this historic document, this survey that happens only every 10 years, is going to be met with some kind of debate.
Right.
But the bottom line is that this question has been asked before on the American Community Survey that comes out every year, as opposed to the census, which comes out every 10 years. And so I think that what we're trying to do is gain an accurate depiction of what's going on out there.
You raise a point that a lot of Democrats are obviously frowning upon this because of the fact that the president in office right now has not been able to resolve DACA. Okay, so there are 800 million illegal immigrants in this country, millions more, but under the DACA program, they're not going to want to fill out this survey. What is the whole point of the census then, if you know that they're not going to fill it out accurately because they are afraid that they're going to be deported?
Right. Well,
so then do we actually get a real read of who's in this country?
Right. I think I think you've put your finger exactly on the problem. And it seems that the president's political agenda is overtaking his constitutional responsibility, because there are very few things that are actually listed in the Constitution that have to happen. One of them is this census. The Constitution does not provide for how it needs to be done, but it says it needs to be done. And it says it's a pivotal sort of foundation of, among other things, how we do business in this country.
Yeah, but the issue here is the state of California, because California has a history. I mean, now it's suing suing over the census thing, but when it comes to harboring illegals and sanctuary cities, I mean, this goes on, the list goes on. And where does the line get drawn? Because, you know, you're talking about a state that has actually harbored criminals who have violated the law multiple times, violent criminals. Where does California sit back and realize that perhaps protecting some of these criminals is not the way to go? Certainly suing over the census, that's a whole different issue, but it just seems like California has a history here. You know, what do we do about it?
Well, I mean, I think that what California and what we've seen nationally is we've seen sort of an attempt to draw people out of the shadows, whether it's through the DACA program, which the president has said and Republicans in Congress have said that they want to keep going, that no one wants to kick out these kids who were brought here through no fault of their own. Or, I mean, not that I necessarily agree with this, but look at states like California and others who have considered, in some cases adopted, illegal or driver's licenses for illegal aliens. There's been more of an attempt to sort of bridge that divide. And so I guess I'm a little bit skeptical about how much it would influence your response to a census that's being given to you to have one particular question related to citizenship if you were worried just sort of as a general matter about contributing any information in a time where we're really sort of finding more information out about illegal immigrants.
We have to go, but real quick, final word.
Well, I hope that the president will reconsider this if he actually wants to get an accurate
Get the Democrats on the table and actually come to a resolution when it comes to DACA, because that's what he wants. He wants the Democrats to come to the table, and Pelosi and Schumer are not. So if they could actually agree with him, he would like to protect those DACA, recipients as well, so long as he gets money for the wall.
It really should be a no-brainer.
Okay, let's hope. Everything should be a no-brainer, right? Because we're not in Washington.
We just solved it all.
Alexandra, thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, Eric.
All right.